Welcome to a demonstration of the reflection-refraction interactive illustration from the Science Primer blog. The illustration explores reflection and refraction patterns made by light rays that encounter air-water, water-air, and air-diamond interfaces. The illustration must be initialized before it can be run. Clicking the Set Reset button does this. The speed controller across the top should not need to be adjusted for this illustration. Once initialized, the model will allow the angle of incidence of a light ray falling on a flat surface to be manipulated. The angle of incidence slider allows the angle of incidence to be adjusted from 0 to 89 degrees. The initial setting shows the paths taken by both the reflected and refracted rays of light. The Show selector makes it possible to view either the reflected or the refracted rays alone. The Interface selector allows the user to change the interface encountered by the light ray. Interface options are light traveling from air into water, from water into air, and air into a diamond. Let's hit the Set Reset button to get going. Doing this brings up a diagram showing a ray of light falling onto an air-water interface with a 60-degree angle of incidence. Labels identify a line normal to the surface, the incident, reflected, and refracted rays of light, the path the light would have taken if it were not reflected or refracted, and the angles of incidence, reflection, and refraction. These labels are only visible during the initial setup. Hitting the Run button removes the labels and the red uninterrupted path. Once running, the illustration will respond to user input. As expected, the paths of the incident and reflected rays of light are symmetrical around the line normal to the surface. The interface is set to air-water. This means the light is moving from a less dense to a more dense material and bends or refracts towards the normal. Adjusting the angle of incidence slider back and forth changes the path of the incident ray. The reflected and incident rays paths remain symmetrical around the normal, and the refracted ray bends more as the angle of incidence increases, and less as the angle decreases. Switching Show from both to reflect leaves only the reflected ray. Changing it to refract makes only the refracted ray visible. Changing the interface to water-air does not change the reflected ray. However, now that the light is moving from water into air, the refracted ray bends away from the normal. Again, the amount of refraction increases with an increased angle of incidence. Beyond the critical angle, the light no longer passes through the interface and obeys the laws of reflection. The final interface is air-diamond. Switching to this setting makes the refracted ray bend back towards the normal, and since diamond is denser than water, the amount of refraction is greater than it was with the air-water interface. Switching back and forth between air-diamond and air-water makes this apparent. This completes the demonstration. Thank you for watching and enjoy the illustration.